Today's episode features too many people to put all of their names in this tiny spot right here. Hello, I'm John Rossi. I'm a touring drummer with a passion for animal conservation. When I'm on the road, I spend as much time as possible visiting zoos, aquariums, and conservation organizations. Now, I want to share those places with you. I'll be talking to keepers, vets, conservationists, anyone who can help me in my mission of connecting my people to animals through their people. Join me on my Rossifari. Hi, hello, how are you? Welcome back to a very special kind of two-part episode of the Rossifari podcast. So y'all, we are back and we are going a little out of order this week for a very good reason and a very good cause. But I don't really want to give it away. It's going to come up in the interview and I'm excited to share it with you. But yeah, I don't want to spoil it right here. So we'll talk more in the outro about that situation. But here's what I can tell you. We have two different interviews in this episode this week, and they're both a little different and a whole lot of fun. So the first interview is going to be with the bird team from Southwick Zoo. Now, y'all know Dani Larson, although you're going to know a slightly different version of her in this episode. You'll see what I mean. And you may remember Emily Begay, although you'll also get to know a different version of her in this episode. Again, you'll see what I mean. And the two of them joined me along with trainers Meagan and Hope to discuss their free flight show with me. But we're going to do it in a way that you've never heard on this podcast before, and I think it's really special and really cool, and y'all are going to learn a whole lot. Then, after that, you'll hear our transition music, and we're going to go to a different interview with Dani will still be there, and then somebody named John Simcox of the Talon Ridge Raptor Institute. And that's all I'm going to say about that for now, because, again, I don't want to spoil anything that you're going to hear in this episode, but we'll be talking a lot more about that after the interview. So, yeah, both of these interviews, a lot of fun, some different stuff than what we normally deal with, and all very cool and zooey and trainer focused. You're going to hear a whole lot of name drops and all that other stuff. There is one thing that I need to tell you for those of you who are diehard Rossifari fans. You know that we have a tradition on this podcast, which is anytime that anybody says the words poop story, we drop in a little stinger just like that. This was actually a tradition that Emily started. However, we say the phrase so many times towards the end of this episode that it genuinely was a distraction. And I mean, I'm a person who finds overdoing humor and beating a joke until it's dead and then revived and funny again is something I love. And even I thought it was too much. So I have had people in the past, if I ever miss one, reach out and be like, oh my gosh, you missed adding the stinger. But in this case, I didn't. I just didn't want to completely pull away from the conversation as it gets said so often. So that's one just for the diehards, but I had to put it out there. So before we get to all of this lovely, lovely interview fun, just a quick reminder, make sure that you're following along on the socials at Rossifari. Make sure you're following along on TikTok at Rossifari Pod. And don't forget that you can support the podcast for as little as $3 a month by going to patreon.com/Rossifari. So with all of that said, here are my interviews with the Southwick Zoo bird team and John Simcox of the Talon Ridge Raptor Institute. Enjoy. Do we ever know what we're doing?
Nope.
That's a real question. All right.
At least I'm not eating ice cream.
That's true. I did just shove half a burger in my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And this is, of course, how we start recording. Yep. Already hit record. Yep. Mm-hmm. So who are you? You start.
My name is Dani. I'm just going to say Larson.
Yeah, no, I don't know why
is all gone.
We hyphenated your last name.
Government names.
Yeah, we hyphenated your last name for the podcast.
Government names.
Yeah.
Which was never a thing. It's just I had a really hard time detaching from my maiden name after I got married.
Well, and also people knew you as Dani Poirier because you weren't married.
So
the first
time. Just remind them. But now I can just say, my name is Dani Larson, and I'm the curator of birds in training at Southwick Zoo.
Yeah. Go ahead.
My name is Meagan Andrews-Gingding. I am married, so it is hyphen because I am attached to my maiden name. And I am one of the trainers and wait, what am I?
What am I wearing?
What is my official title?
Bird keeper /
I'm a bird keeper / trainer here at Southwick Zoo.
Guys, she literally read her name tag. I'm so happy now.
It's like that sometimes.
Yeah, it is.
All right, my name is Hope Andrew. I am also a bird keeper and trainer here at Southwick Zoo.
Are you attached to your last name?
I am pretty attached because I am not married, so I got to keep my last name as is for now.
That's fair. That's fair. And who the heck are you?
I don't know anymore. Well, formerly Emily Begay, now Emily Macinda.
What?
Because you were not attached to your last name.
I said, actually, in the eyes of the government, I am still Emily Begay, but that's a story for another time because that's hard.
Dude, that is hard.
Yeah.
When we got married, one of Zoe's friends got her a this thing that there's like a
name change kit?
Yeah. And it was like, I think like $100, but like it really made
Don't you have the name change kit?
Yep.
Where is it?
It's closed in my room.
Incredible.
We say this with no judgment. No judgment. Okay, cool. So, yeah, with all of that said, we are all here. You are all, as you said, the bird team, some of the bird team at Southwick Zoo. And y'all have a new show this season. And I just got to see it, and it has some free flight elements. And so one of the things that we talked about, Dani and I, was just that it's really important, and I've talked about this on the podcast before, but it's really important for a team to sit down together after a show and discuss it and see what was good, what was bad, what was utterly terrible. And no, I'm just kidding. You guys are great. But, and just like talk through and come up with strategies to make it better, different, whatever. And so I'm just going to kind of be a fly on the wall here to start. And I just want to hear y'all talk about the bird show, and I might or might not pop up. Beep, beep, yeah. I don't know. Go ahead. Dani, talk. Pop up, beep, pop, boop. I don't know why I just turned into a robot. Beep, boop, pop. Anyway.
Why not? We've all been influenced by African Greys a time or two in our lives. Yeah, we didn't get to do our show notes after our show today, so now is a good time to do it. So after every show, we usually go backstage and we talk about all the things that we liked, what we didn't like. We're new to this show this year. And even though none of us here are new to bird shows at Southwick Zoo, we're all new to this show. And some things are the same, but uniquely different. And other things are brand new. So there's some dialogue that's very new. Obviously, a lot of the training is different. There's that free flight element. There's so many things we have to be prepared for. We have to go into every show with a plan of what we're going to do if Russell decides he wants to go see the giraffes again or play in the maze. But yeah, so I don't know. What was I saying?
Who knows?
I don't know. I got really distracted laughing at the fact that Russell visits the giraffe and plays in the maze.
I made a funny and now I'm done. I'm over.
Yeah, me too. So. I literally was like, oh, Russell. I love
Russell. Yeah. So, we were talking about show notes and how like some things are very different. So one of the things we've really been discussing after the show is like behaviors, how we can set the birds up for success to maybe have a little bit more success next time, because we're working on generalizing. And I think I'll defer over there for that one because I think Hope would have a lot to say about that. So a lot of generalizing and then just like cleaning up our dialogue. And I would say, I think like Emily and I probably talk the most about dialogue with each other because right now we've been doing T1 and T1 has the most different dialogue comparatively. So there's been a lot of like, oh, I liked how you said that. I like how you said that. And just like bouncing back and forth between each other. We can go into generalizing first, though, if you guys want to talk about how that went in today's show.
I mean, although it didn't get quite the result we were hoping for, I think it was still a really good step in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. Can we start off by talking about what generalizing is?
Yes, absolutely. So generalization is a step that we can take where, for the most part on our team, a behavior has a primary trainer, meaning that one trainer is going to be focusing on a behavior with a specific individual. And then over time, when we are ready to consider generalization, it means that the behavior is consistently correct to criteria for one trainer, and we can then start incorporating other trainers. So in this instance, what we're talking about is our Eclectus parrot pair, Amber and Ernie. And Hope has done such a wonderful job getting them to do their vocals in our presentations together, which they are used to doing them solo, but now they have to do them together. And we are at the point where Hope isn't here every day. She can't always be T2. Sometimes we also need her to be T3. She's doing other things. So Amber and Ernie are ready to begin the process of working up to giving their vocals to any and all trainers. Mm-hmm. It's been pretty successful for trainer Sarah so far, but not so much
and Meagan so far.
Oh,
Meagan
good.
was good the last couple days.
Oh, great. Okay, cool.
So it's really just,
it's just you, Emily.
We can tell you why, though. Because
that's
really
real.
Funny. It's actually really funny. Ernie just loves Emily more than life itself. And so when he's in Emily's presence, he just gets so excited. And our mentor, who we're going to talk about in a moment, has spoken about how like she's familiar with an African gray that she's worked with before that was very like that for people that he really liked. Like Emily makes the joke a lot, like the lights are on, but no one's home when she's asking for vocals and he's just not doing it. Yeah, but I want Hope to say a little bit about like how you successfully generalized with Sarah and Meagan and like what we're working on with Emily and what we tried today.
Yeah, so the first few times I did a session, I was doing all their vocals and Sarah was just kind of standing next to me. And then we slowly incorporated so that I would ask for the vocal. And then when they successfully gave it, Sarah is reinforcing them to hopefully kind of bridge that gap. And hopefully after a few more sessions, Sarah can then do it solo and they will be doing both of their vocals for her. And same for Meagan.
They have been
successful.
Yeah,
yes,
Sarah's been successful.
Had 2 days last week. And yeah, Sarah did them on their own. And then Meagan started this week. The last 2 days, Meagan was reinforcing both of them while I was asking for their vocals. And I think we got 5 out of 6 vocals between the two of them. So we were really happy with that.
And it's a fun part in the show because everybody sees a parrot and really wants to see them talk. So our former show was very, very parrot vocal heavy. And we decided to just let Amber and Ernie shine together. And that's a new element of the behavior is talking right next to each other because it's not a bonded pair. So that was uniquely challenging too. And yeah, so far so good. But today we tried having Emily reinforcing. It was a bit of a big step. So I loved in the show, Emily made the decision to take some steps back. I actually couldn't see it because our iPad wasn't working, but I heard it. And it worked nicely for Amber. I think she was already offering vocals before you took a step back anyway. But Ernie said, nah, I still can't. I see her. But I was also wondering if maybe it was because he saw another favorite in the audience. Was he ever looking at John?
I think so.
You think so?
He turned away a couple times, like towards me. I did notice that. Yeah. And I
was wondering if that would impact him at all.
Yeah.
Well, so the other thing that happened today, which is also great that John got to see, is we just did a training session with Ernie on his entrance and exit, which I got to be a part of, where our relationship may be in that scenario where I'm asking him to come out of a window and come towards me is kind of beneficial. But then we also have some like working back into getting into the routine of positive reinforcement. Like you're looking to me for information and I am reinforcing you because of our relationship. I have taken a step back for a really, really long time. And so that's also kind of the problem too, is that he kind of needs to remember what it's like to work with me and not just look at me.
Yeah. And it's funny because it's like similar with me. I'm done for when it comes to Amber. Like, so Amber has the same feelings about me that Ernie feels about Emily. So fortunately for Emily and I, we don't have to do T2 quite as often because we'll do T1 the most. I might not ever have to do T2.
Only if you want to.
Yeah, which I would love to, but we got to get these birds generalized to other trainers before we add me to the mix. But we can also talk about generalizing that Meagan did with your show behavior that you trained.
Oh, the banner reveal.
Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, so I trained the banner reveal for our show with 2 different birds, but only one of them made the cut for showtime. We have Sydney, our Harlequin macaw, who opens up our show. He comes out and he releases a banner that just says, "Welcome to our show." And that took so much time to generalize to everybody, and we're still working on it. So right now it is generalized to Emily and Sarah, and I think Hope just did it for the first time yesterday.
Yeah.
There's that confidence we love to hear.
He did great until I needed him to step up onto a T-perch again, and then he said, "Nah, I'd rather not. I'm having fun."
It was just so funny the way that Cassie talked to us about why he's so hesitant to come back. And I just think it's so funny. So Sydney's not quote unquote issue, like what we're working for, is once he comes out and reveals the banner, he doesn't want to leave. So he stays there. And it's like we have somebody on the radio who's queuing T1 to come out. So that's T3. So the person who's standing on the other side of the arena with Russell and Kinta, I'm waiting to hear like, okay, Sydney's making his way back so you can come out. Because the problem is if he comes out and pulls the banner, we want T1 to be able to come out right away, but we also don't want to bridge him and encourage him to stay there with T1's presence, because then he's never going to want to leave. So we have to use the matching law and figure out how to make it most worth his while to pull that banner and then leave. He comes out and he pulls the banner and he sees all these people and then everybody claps for him. And Sydney just like, who told me the other day that he did that? And then he just like started jamming out.
That
Was it you,
Yeah,
Emily?
I think so.
Yeah, you were like, he was dancing. We need to have a less like bumpy music, or less, I don't know. What did you say? You were like not as good of a song or something like that, because he came out and he just.
Sydney loves our playlist.
So I'm like waiting for the cue to come out after he reveals the banner. And I find out later that he was like, bumping.
He just loves the attention. He was truly made to be a showbird.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm actually really glad that you brought that up, because to kind of pivot to another behavior, I had asked Meagan this question, I think yesterday, regarding Zeus, the blue-throated macaw's behavior.
Oh, yeah.
Because I find that he really needs the physical prompt of the trainer leaving backstage and heading out to the front of the stage so that he can come out of his window and begin his rope climb. And I was like, Meagan, how did you get Sydney to just go? And she was like, he just did it. And so I was like, shoot, because thinking about Zeus, and I mean, he's doing really well, but thinking about phasing out a lot of those steps in between, I was like, how do we get him to just go? Like, because ultimately the goal would be for us to just stay backstage.
Exactly. Open the window. He goes out, he climbs the rope. And what that behavior is supposed to look like eventually is he's supposed to pull up a bucket with his like beak and feet too. And Sugar is also being trained to do the same thing. So right now he still needs a lot of training and prompting from T2, which is why T1 stays on the mic to talk. But yeah, I mean, we can go back to talking about the matching law, and what that tells us is that we probably need to make it more worth his while to come out faster. So maybe when he does come out, to speed him up, we give him like a lot of nuts for just that initial coming out, and then
or like
shape it up from there. I don't know if you guys have been giving him anything once he comes out. I mean, because you're still using the target. So I'm not ever really paying attention to what you're doing.
It might be beneficial. It might be beneficial to have some kind of bowl situation where for a while, like we have it pre-baited with some stuff just at the end so that it's a little bit more visual instead of having to see the trainer out there. Like he's waiting for the trainer to get in position with his reinforcers. If there's like some kind of bowl situation where we can just drop them in for the time being and then we can phase it out.
Yeah. And we've talked a lot too about how if we are using baits and lures and anything like that, and we do drop something in, baits and lures are okay in the beginning as long as you're following it up with something more exciting. And so we could definitely do that. If we drop something in and then he comes out pretty quickly, then we followed up with more reinforcers, some variable reinforcers.
Sarah said that he was really pumped for his zoo prints, so we could even start with zoo print and then offer him walnuts.
Yep. Can play around with his reinforcers too.
So what exactly is the law of matching whatever the heck you said?
The matching law.
Matching law, okay.
Yeah.
I thought there was another word in there somehow. Okay, so explain the matching law.
How do we explain the matching law? The matching law is a way of life. It really is. It is just how the training world goes round. No, it is the behavior matches the reinforcement, essentially. So whatever behavior you're asking the bird to do, you want to make sure that you're following it up with reinforcement, with the appropriate amount of reinforcement to match whatever it is that the bird is doing. And let's say you have a situation where the bird is in the crate and they're really fast to go in, but really slow to come out. We look at the matching law in that scenario and we're like, what is valuable about going into the crate, but not valuable about coming out? And that tells us, okay, we're a little out of balance here because the bird is getting more reinforcement for going into the crate and not as much for coming out. So in that way, if you're thinking about it that way, we kind of have to level the playing fields where not that they're getting less for going in, but what is making that so reinforcing and kind of match that with the coming out behavior. So if we have a bird that's hesitant to come out, we want to look at what are the antecedents that's causing that to happen. And when they actually do step up, we want to follow it up with a ton of reinforcement, whatever that may be. And we want to look at the whole picture and make sure that there's nothing punishing about the behavior of coming out. So was that a good way to explain it?
Yeah. I mean, going back to specifically Sydney's banner reveal example, the steps that we have taken to make it more worthwhile for him to come back stage specifically is we equip ourselves with Sydney's favorite thing in the world, which is paper.
Yeah.
We have a paper present backstage with us that has nuts inside. And so hopefully over time, he'll know that all of us trainers are going to offer him a super fun, shreddable enrichment to play with once he has finished his routine.
Mm-hmm.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And it's like you said, I mean, you're kind of being silly about it saying it is training or it's what makes the world go around. Yeah. But I mean, it really is. I've never heard it called that before, the matching law, but it is literally what we all talk about in training all the time.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
We have really been like matching lawing it up.
It's one of my favorite concepts recently. I feel like it's really, we've talked about it since like you introduced that to me from the time I started working here. But I feel like this past year with all of the really intense training we're doing, putting it into practice, it really, you see results. You're providing even more information, like not just reward, you did the thing, but like, this was really good. Here's more reward, or like, that was okay, but I don't want you to feel punished. So here's like a little reward, or like here's an extra special reinforcer.
Or like sometimes Ernie is so excited to come out of his crate, depending on who it is, that you don't even you're the reinforcer. You don't even necessarily have to always reinforce him for that. And if he's slow to go back in or to step off your hand, that's when you want to really, really give him a ton of treats. It has to be super worth his while to step up for whoever it is. Yeah, we've been really talking about the matching law a lot.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Very cool. So what else do you guys want to talk about as far as the show today? What else did you guys see or feel?
I'm curious, how did Emily B's first time on T3 go? So we don't have her up here, but our seasonal Emily B was doing shadowing Meagan on T3 today. So we had her doing some of the mechanics of catch and release for Russell and Kinta. So how did that go?
She did a really great job for her first time generalizing. I think it was her second time shadowing. I think she had Shadow Hope once before. And she basically did release for Kinta, where I received her on my hand. And then she also did release for Russell, where she was completely hands-on. And I just kind of walked her through the motions and said, it's like a dance. So you got to do everything all at once, open the door, reinforce them, get them on your hand, and then send them off. And she picked up so fast. I was really impressed for her first time ever doing that.
So did I receive Russell from Emily?
You did.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I
was very impressed.
Wow. Go Emily. And go Russell. That's so great.
Yeah.
Wow.
Speaking of Go Russell, his flight to the recycling bin from the barrel.
That was a big W.
Okay, so let's talk about this. So in the show, eventually Russell's show behavior is actually going to be really fun. He recycles a plastic water bottle. And so what we want is for Russell to be released without any introduction. So T1 takes a swig of their last bit of their water from their water bottle and puts it down on a barrel that we have on stage. And Russell is just going to be let out. He's going to come out of nowhere, like from behind the bleachers. People aren't even going to see him. And he's going to pick up that water bottle. And I'm going to be like, what, Russell, where did you come from? What are you doing with my water bottle? And he's going to take it over to the recycling bin and recycle it. So it's more of a surprise. And then after that, we're going to have our volunteers come up to the platforms and hand him their water bottles like John's got to do today. So we've been working on that flight from the barrel because that barrel is brandy new. The platforms that he recycles from where the volunteers are not new, but the barrel's new. So the last few days he was taking water bottles from the barrel, but in yesterday's show, he did something wackadoo. He took the bottle from the barrel and did I thought it was going to be a fly off. I was watching from home. Emily was doing T1, but you can talk about it.
Yeah. So he had been kind of taking a really strange flight pattern for the couple of times that I had seen you attempting. Mm-hmm. So going into the 11:30 show yesterday, I was like, okay, we're going to make this a real training session. So Hope got stationed at the barrel and we just did recall. So Hope had some reinforcers and I was like, I'm going to stand in the general direction of the recycling bin because instead of shooting wide, I want him to come straight to me in that direction and work on that flight pattern. And so 2 recalls went really well. And then on the third time, when he returned back to Hope, he grabbed his bottle and he went wide. And he went really wide. And he flew around the bleachers. He dropped it on the skinny side. He ended up back towards Meagan. Meagan throws her hand up to try and receive Russell. I think did he end up on top of his door?
Honestly, I literally don't remember.
It was all a blur. I also
it's all a blur.
He was pretty high. I also thought he was gonzo bonzo.
He landed on the fence right before his door.
Okay.
And then I think he just flew right back into the arena. I don't even think he came down.
I remember seeing you receive him because I thought it was a fly off. I was watching live on our Wise Cam. We set up a Wise Cam so that our mentor Cassie can watch the shows live. But then we have no self-control, so we've been watching them from home on our days off. So I was watching that show, and I was like, oh, my God, they had their first show fly off. There goes Russell. But then, pretty quickly, he came back to your hand.
Yeah, he made a lot of really great choices.
Yes,
which
really
was
good
so
choices.
Wonderful. I guess I was so blind with, not panic, but I was like, whoa, that I didn't even register that he wasn't with you.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, I guess I figured that he was back on your hand, but he must have just come.
Truly, I don't remember. I remember looking and he was there and I could have put my hand up and then sent him to you, but I don't remember if he came to my hand or if he just went to you.
This is what panic does to us.
Makes you blind.
Yeah, we're completely blind. But yeah, either way, he came right back to me and we tried again.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the second time it also didn't go well. And we said, okay, we're not going to try a third time. So
I don't think he ended up recycling that bottle.
We said,
but
that's okay.
But that's okay. Because he made really good decisions in the air. And then he stayed where he needed to stay. Mm-hmm. And we didn't have to prove that he could do it a third time. Mm-hmm. He already did it twice. He just needed to learn. And he did. He learned a lot from all of that.
And so then on our lunch break, I get a text from Dani. He goes, hey, I watched that show from home. And she's like, I have some ideas. And I was like, absolutely. And so we incorporated them for the next one. She was like, just go for the recall and go all the way. I guess I interpreted it the best way that I could from your text. And we didn't do the recalls. Hope was still there with the bottle and he grabbed the bottle first thing. And I tried to book it and orient myself all the way at the recycling bin.
Yeah. I was like, use your body as a prompt, right?
And he did come over all the way to the railing, which was great. I think we all make the joke that Russell sometimes needs moral support. And so we just have to show him exactly where we're rooting for him to go.
Just a couple times. And then he gets it.
Yeah, and then he's like, oh, okay.
I don't need this anymore.
And case in point today, went really well.
Yeah, it did. I was so impressed. And I think it also helps that we're standing on the other side near the stairs for whatever reason. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I was really, really happy about his part in our show today. Mm-hmm. So I think we're working towards the big surprise recycling moment.
That is really cool. Yeah. I liked Russell buzzing me a couple of times.
Oh my God.
One
time in particular. Sits right there, they get a wing to the head.
Yeah.
They
I
do.
am sometimes with Kinta too.
Yeah.
I didn't get to see it, but I heard Dani mentioned that you got a wing to the face, and I was giggling.
I know you.
I was like, "Oh, Russell, I'm so happy. I love him so much."
Did you feel how close Kinta was to you on her first recall out to Dani? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's. I mean, you're not messing around with the free flight. Like there are people, there are birds, they are in the same space, and it was awesome. I love Kinta too, but
it's especially scary with Kinta. She has a history.
Yeah,
she has a history of going after people that have some characteristics that none of us know about. There's no rhyme or reason to who she chooses that she wants to kill that day, but she has a little bit of a history with that, and we've done a lot of counter conditioning with her to work through it. And she's been doing so well. I think when I think about this whole journey, I get the most excited about Kinta. I don't know about you guys. But
I was a little spooked the other day. It must have been Tuesday. Yeah, it was Tuesday. And Meagan was on T3, and I just look in the back and I'm waiting for the call that Kinta's secure. And then I see you crouching underneath the bleachers because we had some rogue visitors come in at the end, and they like ran by Kinta while she is in the process of going home, and she got scared.
Yeah, she really got spooked, and she flew underneath the bleachers. But
she went down.
She went down, and she like looked right back to me for information once the kids were kind of like out of her viewpoint. So I was so proud of her, and she recalled right back to my hand and went right home. I could cry.
She's the best.
Absolute champs.
Yeah, absolute champs.
So why fly Kinta if Kinta has those issues?
It's good for her. She is more than capable. The issues that she had, I think, were a result of our kind of like, not lack of knowledge, but to an extent, lack of knowledge on how to really set her up for success and unleash her best potential. And I want to talk more about her, but Cassie really inspired us to work with her in a way that was like going at her pace. We really looked into like just that counter conditioning with a lot of those people that she would show some of those behaviors with. And we just built up her confidence and just associated new faces with positive consequences. And now we feel confident. It's so good for her to be flying. Again, she's so capable. I think you go to a lot of facilities and you see kookaburras used in education in a way that is like them sitting on people's hands, and people will do that trill call. And not that's still cool. That's still a cool thing to show people, but a lot of people don't go to a bird show and see a kookaburra flying.
Yeah.
And so I just think it's fantastic for her. It's another free flighted ambassador for us. It's a non-parrot. So it's a way that we can kind of expand on what we're doing and go above and beyond, if you will.
Hey.
And yeah, we just love it.
Cool. Very good. I like that. Is there anything else that you guys want to talk about with the show notes or anything like that?
What else did we do today? Oh my God. Yeah, Henry's been getting off her donation bin.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Little turd bird.
Henry is a good one. I have noticed in the couple of times that I have done donation bin with Henry, when I try and ask her to, like, if she doesn't get the bill in the slot, I will ask her to try again. And like, we're trying not to gesture.
Yeah.
But she's like, gonzo.
Out to lunch.
Yeah, exactly. She is not super receptive. Even with me just touching the top of the bin by her feet, like she is not looking down.
Interesting.
At all. So I have had less success with having her correct her errors. Although I will say, I think just doing more shows in general, she was really more accurate for you yesterday for your first time doing donation with Henry. I thought it went really well. And she just seems to just be getting it in the slot more often in general.
Yeah, I would agree. And she was really good at correcting herself when it didn't go right in the slot. And only a couple times did she throw it off the side of the bin, so nowhere near it. But
she said, I don't want your money. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, we'll have to just take a look at that and see how she's doing it differently for each person and see if there's any small nuances or anything that like we're doing differently between each other. She gets really, like, similar to Ernie, she loses her mind when she sees somebody that looks like you guys, like you or John or even Sam. She actually did pretty well for you guys both today. She did well for you.
No,
I can't remember which one of you she did
well
drop it for, and she just like lost her mind. It was you. She got a little googly eyed for a second there. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. She did really well for me. And then afterwards was like, hi.
And then she realized, well, it's because as you were approaching, I knew she was going to be that way. So I was giving her a really high rate of reinforcement to be like, focus on me, focus on me, focus on me. And then she was like ready right when you got up there and you gave her the $1. Cause I did anticipate that because I've seen Henry around you before and she does the thing where she gets really squeaky, her eyes bug out. And in those moments, she is, for me, not great at correcting herself because she's just like, whoa, look who it is. Oh my God. So yeah, we're working on that with Henry, but yeah, lots we can do with that.
Yeah.
Do we talk about Alexi?
I want to so bad.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys do it. Yeah. So we didn't have our grand finale today, but take it away. Talk about our grand finale, what it's going to be.
I mean, Alexi, the Eurasian eagle owl, who is just a year old, is getting closer and closer to making his debut. We have done now 3 sessions in the open show arena, which were
his free flight.
Yeah, so spooky, scary, but
spooky.
We had a great time and he did really well. He is like right in his pocket right now for receiving information and his response time. And he's building up his confidence and we're gaining confidence in him. So I feel like it's all wins all around so far with the process. It's just been simple ins and outs of the crate and just to a platform, but we'll be moving slowly but surely. Yeah.
We're making a big point to go at his pace because as we've been told, owl fly-offs are no fun. Just because once they take off, they'll sit in a tree for a long time. And so we've been told to bring snacks and bug spray because we'll be hanging out there for quite a while.
Amazing.
He is equipped with GPS telemetry. So we're not as nervous about that. We know we will know where he'll be. What time he'll come down will be up to him.
So what is his role in the finale going to be?
Do you want to talk about it, Meagan? Because you were excited to talk about him.
Yeah, so he will be coming out from behind the stage and up to a couple of stations that we have in the show arena. And we do have the barrel that Russell will be recycling from that is also going to serve for Alexi, where he will fly over 2 guests, or as many guests as we can fit on that dang bench because I'm so excited. And he is going to fly over their heads and land on that barrel. And we are I can't wait to do that. But before that is the end goal. We are obviously going to approximate it with guests having the platform and just having him fly to that platform. And then hopefully we'll get it to the barrel and he will be flying over people's heads. But I just get a little too excited about it. I've been really excited this entire journey.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, having an animal fly over your head is such a cool thing. You know, no matter how many times I've experienced it, it never gets old. It's very cool. Yeah. And I think there's so much to be said for giving people a special moment and then having them care more and connect more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Is there anything else that y'all want to say before we move on to our next topic? I know that you said you wanted to give a shout out to somebody. This weird ghost name that you've said like 20 times, Cassie something.
I've talked about her so much. We should all go around and say the number one thing that we love about Cassie, but I want to talk about her first. So Cassie is our mentor. We have been partnered with her for just over a year now, which is crazy.
So Cassie who?
Cassie Molina. She has a company called Awesome Animal Solutions, and she consults virtually with people from all over. She does it all. She does all animals. But her primary, actually, I don't know if I'm saying this for her. I'm pretty sure her primary love is birds. She worked at NEI for 25 years and did bird shows with NEI for a really long time. So she has so much knowledge, so much expertise, and she has just like held us accountable, kept us in check. She's gone above and beyond, like helping us work through the kinks and like literally helping us everything from our show order to our show behaviors to critiquing every training session. We have a Slack channel that it was Emily's idea actually to start a Slack channel, which we really love because each bird has their own channel in Slack and we post their training videos in their channel. And then every night when she finally gets her girls down to bed and she has a moment, she goes into the Southwick Zoo Slack channel. She looks at all of our training videos and she gives us feedback on every single one. And in addition to that, we meet with her once a week live on Zoom, and she does training sessions with us live. So whoever it is that we have behavior breakdown or that we want to like expedite their training, so much of what we're doing right now, because we've always wanted to move in this direction and this free flight journey, but it wouldn't be happening this year without Cassie and without her support. And so we do have her on retainer and the zoo pays her monthly, but she just really goes above and beyond for us. And I've always wanted somebody like her as a mentor, and this has been incredible. She watched our first like 3 days of shows and went through every single bird and gave us feedback, everything from the behaviors that the birds were doing and our training with them to what we were saying. And whoa. Who else wants to talk about Cassie, man?
I want Hope to talk about Cassie because Hope's hardly said anything. So,
oh my
Hope,
goodness.
talk.
Cassie's really amazing. I think she's been such a great mentor for all of us. And of course, she's giving us like feedback and positive like critiques, but she's also really good at encouraging us and like telling us all the things we did right. And she always sends us a bunch of emojis and yay, and like she's always so proud of us, and like that makes me really happy too. And then she'll go and break down every little thing and like all the questions we have. She always answers them, and she's so calm and patient. When we have some scary things happen or we're a little panicked, she like grounds us. And I think that's really important. But she's just all around been amazing, and we love her. And yeah, it's been a great experience.
She's our training godmother.
Yes, she is godmother.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She just keeps like all of the concepts. She'll relate everything back to the root and the heart of what it is. And I feel like she talks a lot about like our toolkits and like our training toolkits. And I feel like in certain situations where maybe previously we would have been a little bit stuck, she kind of prompted us to look at things in a totally different way. And I mean, it certainly has made me an infinitely better trainer just to have someone to remind you of those really like hard, fast concepts, and just remembering all of those really, really important training tools that you might let slip every once in a while. But she's like, I saw
she
that.
holds you accountable.
Yeah. Like immediately she will clock you in a moment, which is important. It's so important.
That's how we've gotten so far this quickly.
Yeah, exactly. I remember when I first was talking to the family about bringing her on, they were like, okay, cool. So like free flight by next year. And I was like, huh? I was like, you're joking. Oh my God. Like, that's not possible. But when I said that to Cassie, she was like, yeah, it's very possible. And you can do it. And the long-term goal is that our show arena will turn into an amphitheater that won't be able to be netted in anyway. So that's really what inspired most of this, and the fact that we've always wanted to do it. And I was like, we don't want to do it alone. Maybe we could, but we didn't want to. We wanted the mentorship, and it's been incredible.
That's awesome. I love that. Very cool. You want your show arena to turn into what now?
An amphitheater.
Say that again.
Amphitheater?
God, I love you.
What is it?
An amphitheater?
Amphitheater?
Amphitheater.
Amphitheater?
Ampa, not ampy. I would only do this on here with you.
I was also saying amphitheater.
I just like
what was I saying?
You're hitting the I really hard. You go amphitheater.
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 There's literally nothing wrong with that.
As somebody who plays amphitheaters professionally, I'm just
like PH. Wasn't I saying like amphitheater?
I don't know.
That's exactly what I was just saying.
No, yeah, it's just the adorable way.
Now you can get out of here.
It's just the adorable way that you say amphitheater.
Amphitheater.
We're just excited.
Yeah.
You're putting the focus on the P, which might be because of all the potty training you have to do.
Amphitheater.
It's an amphitheater.
Oh my God. I can't help it.
I just like picking on you, Dani.
Yeah, I know.
We haven't had enough of it this episode.
Oh, well, there it is.
There it is. All right. So speaking of P, before we end with this part. It's time now, don't you know? We've come to the end of the show. But there's one tale left to go. You're gonna laugh and say, oh no. It's time for the Rossifari poop story.
Wait, can I, for all time's sake? Poop story.
Yes!
Well.
I knew it. I know someone who can tell you a lot of poop stories, but before we get to that,
Yeah, I could
know
fill
where
your
brain
entire
went.
podcast
I know.
with poop
No,
stories.
the story, your Instagram story this morning.
Yes, I know. That's what you were going to say.
Okay.
That might be a great way to bridge our next guest. But before I say that,
Okay.
I feel like Meagan has to tell
Meagan
hers.
is the queen of poop
Meagan
stories.
gets pooped on more than any of us. She's literally taken showers at the zoo. She's gotten so pooped on.
Okay, I'll tell that one because that's the biggest one.
So pooped on.
I've been pooped on
much
by
poop.
so many different individuals. We have Chad the African Grey multiple times in our parakeet aviary. But the worst one of all time that I've encountered during my time here is I got pooped on the top of my head, in my hair, by our female Sariema party. And she was perched up high one morning and I was cleaning underneath her. And this is a rookie mistake, but I knew what I was doing and I said, I will be under her for 1 second. I'm sure I will be fine. I went to go just to move a stump out of the way so that I could clean. And lo and behold, for the 1 second that I was underneath her, she let it rip. And I just heard a splat on my head and I screamed and I called Emily and Hope because they were there that day. This was like also in the middle of winter. And I was like, Emily, I need you to get here now with a towel. And I said nothing else. Emily came over. She was like, I thought something terrible happened. Well, the animals. It was just with me. And I was outside in the winter washing my hair with the hose.
Yeah, I show up and you are drenched.
The amount of pictures that we have of Meagan with a parakeet poop on her glasses or on the tip of her nose. Oh my God, Clyde pooped in your ear.
Yes. Oh, I forgot about that one.
It's endless. And then there was a time that we were all sitting outside. We all sat out there.
Oh my God, it was my day off too.
It was her day off. She comes in. I don't remember what we were all stressed out about. We were kind of stressed about something and we were sitting there. I don't know. It felt kind of serious. I just remember it being it was a little serious and we were a little stressed about something and Megan's sitting there and she gets pooped on by a wild bird. It wasn't even any of our birds. It was just a wild bird came and pooped right on her head. It's crazy.
Meagan the poop magnet.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah. And then last night I was telling a very sentimental story to some people about a friend, a bird friend that we're about to talk about. And I was like, I'm so happy for her. She's going to a nice home, blah, blah, blah. And just out of nowhere, I see butt to my face. She's backing up, wings are out. I'm like, she's going to poop. She's going to poop. And I got out of the way and then you just hear, and it's just all over my carpet. And I was like, yeah, okay. It was pretty funny.
Amazing. Well, thank you all for doing this.
Yes, thank you.
Sir.
Thank you.
Ooh. All right, so for the next part of this episode, there's been another fun thing going on at Southwick Zoo involving Dani, no longer Poirier Larson. And that is, you all know about Alexi, the Babel owl.
Babe the bubble, what?
I don't know what just happened. But the baby owl. But there's another baby owl that Dani's been raising. So Dani, talk about that a little bit.
Surprise. So very similar to last last year we went to service the owl enclosure, and this year we actually did health exams on our male and female breeding pair, and we pulled 2 eggs this year. We did the exams on the owls, redid their exhibit with new furniture, brought the eggs up to the incubator, candled them. One was not viable and one was. So we left that egg in the incubator for several days. We were rotating it and she hatched. And then we were like, wow, okay, this is cool. We have another baby. We made the decision that we weren't going to keep this one because Alexi requires so much time, work, energy, space, and we decided that instead we wanted to find this individual a really great home. We really cared about who it went to. We really wanted to make sure that it was, trained with the same kind of like ethics and welfare standards that we believe so strongly in. So Cassie actually reached out to me and said, hey, I have somebody who is looking for your Asian eagle owl. Can I put you in touch with him? I said, please do. And then I got an email from John Simcox, who was sitting next to me.
And this is a little upsetting to me because I was also like, I'll just take the owl. And Dani just looked at me and said, no.
I said, nope, different John. Sorry.
Yeah. So John Simcox, who are you?
Hi, so my name is John. I am the president and executive director of Talon Ridge Raptor Institute. We're still a pretty new organization. We officially formed last year. And we have the opportunity to do some really cool educational work, training work. We really want to focus on research and conservation initiatives as well. So one day in the future, whenever we have this nice, beautiful facility that I have dreams of, we'll have some really cool things going on there. And we're also a mutual aid organization as well to help the community and to help build our communities up so that way they can receive those conservation messages better as well. But we are really excited just because we have the opportunity to add this bird to our collection, not just even add it to our collection. This is the very first bird that is going to be a part of our collection. So we're really excited to have this bird to be able to not only kind of be the face of our organization and as we move forward into the future, but also the opportunity to really start ramping up our educational initiatives to be able to continue teaching about the importance of raptors and birds of prey in our ecosystems. And, also it's really cool that it's a non-native species. So we are an organization that plans to house both native and non-native species. And so we're really excited to add this bird to our care. And it gives us the opportunity to also educate about non-natives, but because they're so closely related to some of our native species here in North America, like the great horned owl, we have the opportunity to also bridge that gap and talk about native species as well. So we're really excited about the opportunity. It kind of came up out of nowhere a little bit. We were kind of both just randomly spoken to by Cassie, I believe. Yeah. And we were just kind of like, oh, you've got a bird? I need a bird.
And I was like, I want it to go to somewhere exactly like your place.
Exactly. And I'm a big advocate for all the training initiatives that you guys have heard Dani and her team talk about today, and so we're really excited about the opportunity to be able to train this bird from an owlet all the way up. It's owls can be difficult birds to work with if they're not trained in a very specific way. And so we're really excited about having that opportunity. And it's really exciting to continue to work and build those relationships that I fostered through IAATE, the International Association of Avian Trainers and Educators. Without my development within that organization, I would have never met Cassie. I probably would have never been put in contact, with the team here at Southwick. And so it's just a true testament to IAATE and the power of networking and building those relationships and understanding, what's most important and how to prioritize those things. But also, continue fostering great relationships with people to be able to put ourselves in situations where we can be successful that will inherently help us put our birds in situations that they can be successful in as well. So
that's awesome. Now, I do have to ask, what is it, Dani, that, here's a center that doesn't have birds yet. Mm-hmm. They have shirts, which is cool. I like them. And they have a name, which is great. But as far as, you were talking about how important it is to you to make sure that Alexi 2 here goes to a proper home, a good place. Mm-hmm. What was it about Talon Ridge that attracted you when they don't have birds yet?
Yeah, well, obviously it was not even really my decision. It was Betsy's and the family.
Sure, but I know you.
I know. Well, it's because they trust me to have a say, and
rightly so.
Yeah, and so I just love John's mission, and I also really love how much it aligns with the mission of Earth, and it's so similar to everything Betsy has done with Earth Limited, and such a huge focus on the education and the conservation and the community empowerment and development. And I just thought it was such a fantastic thing that we are supporting this organization that's in its very early stages, and you have to start somewhere. And we want to be, as supportive as possible. And I think also just the connection from IAATE, and I, talked a lot to our good friend, Amy Fennell, and she's just like,
she's still alive.
Yes, she's still alive. She just helps me too. She's like, we want this bird to go somewhere where it will be well trained. And I have so much trust in John, and everybody told me he's very up and coming in IAATE, so he's really up to date with the most recent kind of welfare standards and really impressive tenure in the fields. And just, I love your mission. And the whole team already bought our Talon Ridge Raptor Institute t-shirts. And
I'm telling you, those shirts, they really pop off.
So cool. They're so cool. And we're excited to support the name fundraiser that John's going to have.
So talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I will also say, I was so ready to throw cover letters, resumes, did you need a letter of recommendation? I was ready to throw on.
You sound great. Let's do this.
I mean, so much of this world is who you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I met Jake Belair as before the podcast existed, and Jake knows everybody. Mm-hmm. And not only was he my first guest on the podcast, but introduced me to Dani, introduced me to all of it. So many people who now coming up on 5 years later, that one connection. I don't know if Rossifari would have made it 6 weeks if I hadn't randomly met Jake Belair. You know what I mean? And it's
give all the credit to Jake.
I mean, seriously. Yeah, because he also promoted the first episode, and people who listened to his episode 500 and some episodes later are still listening.
Yes.
It makes a huge difference, It's finding that one person, whether it's a Jake or a Cassie or, somebody in an organization like ABMA or IMATA or IAATE or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I love that. I love that story. But talk about your plans for the fundraiser and all that stuff.
So we got some exciting things coming up. We officially announced the acquisition of our bird on June 6th. So about a week or so from now. Just wanted to make sure she gets acclimated nicely before we go and do all of that. But we're really excited. On June 8th, we are going to be officially launching her naming contest. So I've chosen 3 names that...
Is one of them Rossifari?
It is not, unfortunately. So it's kind of funny, being I'm still am a zookeeper, but I call myself a former zookeeper in the way. But it's being a zookeeper, you always have those naming things where you're like, man, I really don't like this name. And so I was like, with this bird, it's our first bird. I really want the name to be something that I like, and this is what I'm going to call this bird for the rest of its life, And so I decided to pick 3 names that I would be okay with this bird having, and then we'll do the naming contest.
Yeah,
I like that.
And so I've got 3 names picked out. And we're doing it as sort of a fundraiser. So it'll be, you just pay $1 and you can vote for whatever name that you want to vote for. And, we'll see where it goes. We're going to open it June 8th and it'll run through the 18th. So there will be plenty of time for people to submit their votes. If you want to submit multiple votes, you're more than welcome to do that. We'll not turn that down. I do have some favorites of the 3 names, but I did pick all of them. So I do like all of them. But yeah, and then we're really excited too because we've got a really special opportunity for folks. Our very first sponsor, Till Death Tattoo in Johnson City, they are actually hosting a baby shower for us on June 22nd. So we're really excited, but not only are people going to get to come to the baby shower, of course, we're going to have like our registry, which is our Amazon wish list and all that kind of stuff. But it's going to be our baby girl's very first program as well. So she's going to be there. I'm going to do a little program with her sitting in a little basket and, get to talk about owls and different things like that, as well as we're going to offer a little meet and greet after where people can come up and they can see her really up close and personal, maybe get a little picture with them. That's going to be very limited. We're only going to do 50 tickets to be able to come to it. But the big thing is we are announcing the name at the baby shower. Nice. So if you show up to the baby shower, you're going to get the first opportunity to know what this bird's name actually will be, except for Dani and them. I think I'm going to just like live stream them in so that way they can
I was going to say, catch me driving down to Tennessee for the baby shower because I want to be there.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to come, sure.
I'll have to pack
whatever the ticket price is, he'll give you a 10% discount.
Well, it's honestly
fundraiser's a fundraiser.
Hey. Tickets. I think we're planning tickets to be $10.
Oh, nice.
So it's not going to be anything super crazy, but it's just an opportunity, for us to not only raise money and help support our little one that we have here, but just so people can also get to know this bird. I mean, I view this bird as my coworker, so she is coming to our organization to do a very specific job. And it's my job to make sure that I set her up for success, but also she's going to be the face of our organization, and people throughout our community are going to know who this bird is and what this bird means. And so I kind of see her as, and especially as a nonprofit, we're a community organization. So, obviously I'm the one taking care of her, but, this is our community's bird. And I want people to build that connection with her. I want people to see her as a baby and then get to watch her grow up and kind of build that love for her. And these birds are very long-lived birds. They have the opportunity to maybe bring their kids to see it, and then so on and so forth, and really kind of foster that connection with them. And so it's a really exciting opportunity. And who doesn't love to get to see a little fluffy baby bird, right? So
we all literally keep turning and not looking at each other because she's right here.
Yeah. She's perfect.
So we're really excited. And it's always a little nerve-wracking, especially because this is our first bird for the organization. So of course I do feel like there's a lot of pressure there and everything, but just kind of going back to, like what we were talking about with networking and who I have the team here at Southwick, so I feel like I can really rely on if I ever have any questions. I have Cassie. They've already gushed over Cassie. I've got everybody at IAATE that has been so willing to want to help. And not only that, I also have our board of directors. We have a couple of IAATE members on our board of directors that are also very well versed and knowledgeable about training and a variety of other things as well. So there's so many people at my disposal that I can reach out to and get backup on, if I ever need it. And that's really comforting. Especially kind of going into this, it can be very overwhelming and scary sometimes. But it's a really cool opportunity that I've never had before. And so the opportunity to kind of dive a little bit deeper into it is really exciting, no matter how scary it might be. So
that's awesome. It's very cool. Well, and one thing I need to point out that I really love is, so Dani raised the same type of bird, same parents, everything last year. And Dani, as much as I like to pick on you, you are a fantastic trainer. I have nothing but love and respect for you. You've taught me more than anybody in the last 5 years. That being said, raising an owl is different and it's tough. And you were doing your thing. But you had Amy Fennell come in because she was up at Roger Williams and she helped you. And you said it made a huge impact. And that was not a paid thing. That was not it was just Amy, being the awesome human that she is. Not only did she help you with Alexi, but she gave you a skill set that you can now help John with. And then John, having done this, will be willing to help someone unless you're a total jerk. And I just don't get that vibe. And so I love how community grows like that. And how, when Amy was helping you with Alexi, she didn't know that it would now be impacting you, John, a year later, but it's going to. And I love that. One of my favorite things to point out is you never know what good you do, like how it's going to help other people. And that's just another example of it, which is really cool.
It speaks to the power of community, right? Like, you don't know what you know until you know it, right? I know that sounds kind of crazy to say it
so
like
real.
That. But,
once you know better, you do better.
Exactly. And, I think truthfully with IAATE, that's one of the things that's really changed my outlook with a lot of things, is because every time I've spoken with someone from IAATE or went to a conference or, anything like that, it's never been, this is how we do it. This is how it should be done. This is, whereas sometimes within this community, within the zoo field, I should say, I've felt that a lot. But it's been more so of, hey, this is the information that we know, and this is how we can do better, and this is how we can learn it. And it's made for such a welcoming environment that I don't ever feel scared to ask the question, right? And I think that's so important, is if you're empowered to ask the question, then you have the opportunity to know better. You have the opportunity to learn and continue to grow. And I think that's something that's been so great for me personally in my growth, is feeling that way. And, I'm an outgoing person in general as it is, so it's not too hard for me to ask a question, but sometimes you don't want to feel stupid, right? You don't want to feel like you don't know what you're talking about, especially in front of people that you may have grown up hearing about or learned about. And so you kind of almost idolize them. And so, but never have I felt that in IAATE. Amy Fennell's been great. Cassie, even just, I can't, Kit, everybody has been such, it's just been an honor to be able to work with them and to learn from them and to hear them out. And it's just been a great opportunity. Even, I got to visit NEI earlier this week and, got to hang out with Josh and the team down there. And unfortunately, Amy wasn't at NEI. She was off doing something that Amy Fennell does, I'm sure, with NEI. But getting
not dying.
Maybe she's dead. I don't know. She could have died again. It keeps happening.
God.
But if it wasn't for my experiences within IAATE and building that network and that community, I would have never probably made it to NEI and got to see all the amazing things that they do down there. So it's just, it's really cool to have a very well-rounded community at your fingertips, that full of people that are so humble and willing to help you out no matter what, no matter where you're at. Even if you're practicing and skills that are outdated and they may not practice, they're willing to help you make that step to move forward and do better. And I think that's such an amazing thing to have personally.
Yeah. Absolutely. Very cool. So before we wrap this up real quick, what are the 3 names?
So the 3 names that we are going to offer are Wicca, then Nebula, and Nyx. So Wicca is just a little callback to a lot of cultural stories that we hear about owls a lot, being omens or, spirits, things like that. And so I thought it would be a really cool opportunity to name her Wicca, to have the opportunity to open a conversation with people and talk about, yes, these stories exist, and your culture and your stories and your background are very much relevant and important. But this is also why these birds are important for our ecosystems, and kind of have that communication there. Nebula is actually a call to Eurasian eagle owls' beautiful eyes. They have these bright orange glowing eyes, and nebulas tend to be brightly colored things that we see in space, whenever stars explode and whatnot. So it's kind of a callback to her eyes. And then Nyx is actually an ancient Greek goddess of the night, which I think is very telling for an owl, because not all owls are, but most owl species are nocturnal. So it's really cool to have that callback as well. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, Nyx. I love
Wicca is my favorite.
Okay, I can tell. I think Nyx is my favorite because I'm a huge Greek mythology nerd, but I like them all.
Yeah.
I do also like the idea of a bird in Tennessee being named Wicca.
Yeah.
That one is amusing to me.
Well, we were a little skeptical at first whenever we wanted to name, because I was originally dead set on like, this is what we're naming. We're not doing a naming contest. But my team talked me into it. But we were a little skeptical at first about how that would be received. But so far, from the people that I've chatted with, that's not really been too much of a concern. However, if that is a concern for people, there are other naming options that they can choose from.
And you should go vote for those other names a lot with a lot of money.
Yeah.
If you really care about it, you should throw hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars.
Thousands of dollars. We're rooting for thousands of dollars, people. But no, it's a really cool opportunity, and truthfully, whatever name gets chosen, I'm going to be happy with. Even though I really do like Wicca, but I do know people that are already interested in Nyx, specifically my friends, because I can't stop talking about it. I'm trying to keep it a secret, and I just keep telling everybty about it.
I know you have all these teasers on your social media, but he was telling us earlier, it was so funny. He's like, literally anybody asked me, hey, what are you getting? And I'm like, oh yeah, we're getting a Eurasian eagle.
I can't contain my excitement,
It's a secret on social media.
Yeah. But yeah, so I have some people that are, ready to choose whatever name, and so I'm excited to see what happens. I'm trying not to get my hopes up too much, but I might have to throw some money down, or I might have to rig it.
I'm going to support you because I know you really want Wicca, and I really like that one too.
So I like the name Nyx the best, but I will make some votes for Wicca to support you because I think that is important.
Raina wanted Nebula, but she got confused and she said Wicula. So I think you have to add a fourth option.
I kind of like Wicula.
She was like, I was like, Wicca, Nebula, or Nyx, and she said, Wicula.
That's awesome.
Like with such confidence.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Raina says everything with confidence.
She does. She said her farewells today, and we told her that if we go down to Tennessee one day, she'll get to see the bird when she's all grown up. So she looks forward to that.
Yay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much for taking the time, and I look forward to seeing your organization grow. We are friends on socials, and we will, I'm sure we will do more. I think it would be fun to follow this journey for my audience. So maybe we can talk about that.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah. And also talking about community, this is not the first time we met.
No,
we are here at Southwick Zoo, but we ran into each other at Greensboro Science Center a year and a half ago or something like that.
Yeah, something. My best friend recently, about a year ago, got a job at North Carolina Zoo, and I was there helping her move in, and we happened to bump into each other because we were visiting the Greensboro Science Center while we were there, since it was so close, and it was very quick, but yeah, it was really cool. Like I don't know, it's crazy how things work out.
You specifically met each other, or you were just there at the same time?
Yeah, we were just there at the same time, and I was very weird and walked up behind him and was like, hi.
To be fair, people do that. It's cool. I'm used to meeting fans and such now, so whatever. But it was very cool. It was great.
It's really cool to I don't know, I wasn't expecting any of this to happen, and now it's happened. Even just a month ago, none of this was even in the works, and then literally this within a month, my entire life has changed now.
And I was like, I don't want to stress you out, but I do have a friend coming. His name is John Rossi. He hosts the Rossifari podcast. And like, we're kind of interested in interviewing you about all this. How do you feel about that? I don't want to like force you into it, but we were all down and excited.
She would have forced you into it, so I'm glad that you did. Because
knife to the throat.
Glad you didn't have
do
to.
the interview. Or
my whole family, like they get on to me because once I start talking about this stuff, I can't stop, and so people have to physically like be like, "Hey, chill out." So
you're in good company.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you all so much.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, y'all. So I mentioned that we moved this episode up a little bit, and the reason that we did that is because the owl naming contest is happening right now. It's only $1 to enter, and I'm going to be posting this on the socials, but this is your chance to not only help name a baby owl, but to do so in a really cool way where you're helping out a new organization. So you can go to Instagram to @Talon Ridge Raptors and find out how to vote there. You'll also see lots of adorable pictures of this baby owl. Very exciting stuff. Very, very exciting stuff. I really want to help this organization grow because here's the thing. When Dani, not Poirier Larson, and Amy Fennell and Cassie Molina, even though we don't know her through the podcast, I know the name and love and respect this person. When all of these people are that excited about a new organization getting off the ground, that's amazing. And that means we need to help them, right? That's a big part of what Rossifari does. So I want y'all to go and follow @Talon Ridge Raptors. I want y'all to vote for a name. I think Wicca is the way to go, but you can vote for whatever you want, but I think Wicca is the way to go. And just support this awesome organization as it's getting off the ground in such a spectacular way. Very thankful to John for hopping on, and obviously to Dani and the whole team for hopping on, and really just letting us go behind the scenes and hear how the team works together and being open and honest and vulnerable and talking about what they've learned and things that have happened and stuff, and just showing off what an amazing team they are. So it was such an awesome time hanging out with them. A group of us went and got dinner afterwards, and it was a ton of fun. And I love the Southwick family so much. I love Dani. She's like a sister to me, and that whole team has just become a group of trainers that I respect not only as trainers but as humans. And I'm so grateful to have gotten that time and to have that just love in my life. Amazing group of people. Go check out this new free flight show. They are so proud of it, and rightly so. And go support Southwick Zoo because they're an amazing place. So those are all of the things. But before I go, I am going to say thank you to all of my patrons, especially my Red Panda level patrons, Dr. Laura Schenk, Dr. Stephen Williamson, Barbara Bennett, Jenny Owens, Melissa Reed, Carrie Kirkpatrick, John Lewis, who is also here for stickers. And frankly, there are some good ones that just came out. And Kevin Williams. Love y'all so much. We'll see you back here on Friday for Zoo News. And until then, remember, friends, the word credits backwards is Steiderk. The Rossifari podcast is produced, hosted, and engineered by John Rossi. Editing and fact-checking by John and Dr. Zoe Rossi. Our theme song is Sevens by Nathan Burke, performed by Nathan and John. Interrupting John theme and additional voices by Taylor Isaac Gray. You can reach John directly on Instagram and Facebook @Rossifari or by email at rossifaripod@gmail.com. Rossifari is part of the Daydreamer Media Network. Now, stop listening to me and go visit a zoo.